Self-Publishing Podcast, episode number 109.
This episode of the Self-Publishing Podcast is brought to you by 99 Designs, the online marketplace that helps you get outstanding book cover designs at an affordable price. Start your custom design today at 99designs.com/SPP and enjoy a free Power Pack upgrade valued at $99.
Welcome to the Self-Publishing Podcast, where if you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself. And now, here are your hosts, three goths who spend most of their time up in the trees, Johnny, Sean, and Dave.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Self-Publishing Podcast, the podcast that's all about how to get your words out into the world without contending with agents, publishers, or the other gatekeepers in traditional publishing. I'm Johnny B. Truant, and my co-hosts are Sean Platt and David Wright. Joining you for landmark episode number 109. It's not often you do 109 of something. I was looking at our podcast stats. It's a joke, by the way. I was looking at our stats, and I was realizing that we're closing in on 2/3 of a million downloads. Pretty cool, huh?
Oh, that is cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
But I think the bigger question is that right before
none of those are Better Off Undead, right? Or I mean, does that include?
Well, there were 6 Better Off Undead downloads that I've already subtracted out of that total.
From now on, when you talk about stats, you should always delete them from the total because not only are they
it should be a penalty, like in golf, like a penalty strike.
Right.
Like if there were 6 downloads, I have to deduct 12.
Yes, I think that's fair, and really, so do the listeners. So we're good.
I think the real question is, right before we started, I came on the Hangout, and because I had gone to get a cup of coffee, and Sean is here, and Dave's window is here, but Dave wasn't sitting down, and Sean goes, he went to get his windscreen, the thing that I'm rubbing on my mic here, and I said, well, what was he doing with that windscreen? That poor little black windscreen.
I use it for my daily walking Dave, which I have now done once in 2 weeks.
I hate that there was a legitimate response to that.
I love that when he came back, he gave it a nickname, though. Dave, do you want to share your
nickname?
Yeah,
let's leave that off the air, huh?
A nickname for the podcast? I'll have to hear this later.
No, for the windscreen. You didn't hear that? It was spectacular.
Enough.
All right. Well, that's always good when
John does not catch a hint.
All right. Yeah. So I did something. I did something interesting this week that I wanted to mention. Is writing is I just get used to, like, I'm an author, and that's like, okay, I'm just used to it. But we have a pretty cool job, and I realized I went to I told you about my friend's school, her kids' school, and I went and spoke for them, and that was pretty awesome. Like, it was pretty awesome being an author visit for a school.
Yeah, tell us about that. That's really fun. I've done that a few times, and it's all I always come back really energized, like because children have great questions, and they're so excited, like, oh my God, you write books for a living, and that energy is really cool.
What grades were you speaking to when you did it?
I've done it for, I've done it second. I've done all the grades, actually, because I do it for Ethan and Haley each year, whatever grade they're in. So I've done it kindergarten through 6th grade.
Okay, I did. I was just going to do one group, I think, and I was going to do so my friend has kids that are, I don't know their ages. She's probably 12 or 13, the older one, and the younger one is 7. And so I think I was just going to do for the older ones group, which would have been like, she would have been the top of that group, and so like up through 6th grade or something like that. And then what we found out was that the older kids in the school, it's a Montessori school, goes up to like 8th or 9th grade. Their teachers wanted them to do it too, so I had a second session. And then the real little kids wanted to do it too.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got to do it 3 times, and I did the middle group first, and then I did the older group, and that was a little intimidating because some of those kids were, getting to the point where they had a teenager blasé thing going on.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, am I boring you people? Did you get much of that?
Well, what was interesting is the last year I did it back to back, just like that. I did Haley's class, and then I went and did Ethan's class. And so last year Haley was 5th grade, and Ethan was 3rd grade. And the difference between the two classes was amazing, because at Haley's school last year, middle school starts in 5th grade, not 6th grade. So she was 5, 6, 7. So these were just the first kids. They were just in middle school, and they were just trying on like more grown-up behavior a little bit. And yeah, there was definitely a little of that, like I'm too cool for this. But when I went to the 3rd grade class, like they couldn't, like they were all jumpy, and they were like they had sugar for breakfast. Like they were just so excited. And it was Unicorn Western was just out in paperback, so I was still like carrying it with me everywhere I went, because it's like the most awesome thing to hold, and it's all brightly colored, and the children, like they loved it. And in the 5th grade class, you could see that a lot of them thought it was cool, and they asked cool questions, but they were all composed. And in the 3rd grade class, it was just unbridled enthusiasm, and that was way more fun.
That's what I got first, was a lot of unbridled enthusiasm. So I described what it was that I did. I got a little intro, and then she asked my friend, who is known at the school. She's not like a teacher or whatever, but just like everybody knows her, because it's Montessori, and the kids just come and go. It's a free for all, and so then they asked, who likes to write, who doesn't like to write. Oh, this is my friend. He writes books for a living, and so they did. I don't think they really knew what Unicorn Western was, which of course is the only book that's appropriate for that audience. So I held it up, and they all went, "Oh!" Like they were just amazed. Like, and then when I told them about Genesis, which I had the paperback, and then I said the next series is going to be Unicorn Apocalypse, and the room, like, they thought that was awesome, the idea of a unicorn apocalypse. And I gave the same exact litany to the older group, and I just kind of didn't get much.
Meh.
Yeah, exactly.
Meh.
But that group, I had brought a lot of books just to hold them up and show them, just like as a demonstration. Like I wanted to explain this isn't the only book that I've written, but then I sort of carefully couched it in terms of, I primarily write for adults, blah, blah, blah. And so I was able to hold up, what did I hold up? I held up The Beam, 2 Seasons, Plugged, Namaste, Robo-Proletariat, and Write, Publish, Repeat, just to show the nonfiction. I didn't bring Fat Vampire because I don't know, like they might.
Oh, Write, Publish, Repeat. No, but Write, Publish, Repeat is actually kind of a great one to show, because you're like, this is
Don't
a process.
You have pornography in that book?
The older kids, somebody said something like, that's the book where he talks about writing. And I said, also not for you guys. Like also. And so anyway, the older kids, like I described them real briefly because I was trying to do the multi-genre thing, like. Because the whole idea was you can make a great idea out of anything. And so as that central premise, I described briefly the idea behind them. And man, kids know Downton Abbey. Like, I didn't know that. Like, why do these kids watch Downton Abbey? And so I said, you guys know Downton Abbey. The older kids, right? The younger kids, too. I was just like, I don't know if some of your parents, I don't know if they were watching it, but they at least know it. And they were like, it was that spark of recognition, like, oh, I know it. And then I said, this is Downton Abbey with robots, which... like they thought it was pretty cool. But when I held up Namaste and said this is about a killer monk, like I got a lot of from the older kids, and I was like, but again, like stop it. But I got through it without mentioning the podcast at all, that I even have one.
Better off on
that's good.
Better off on Shed Dodo.
But I know that some of those kids, the older kids, are going to be like, oh, I want to go check out some of those other things he was talking about. That sounds cool.
And
but
welcome.
I did the best I could. And I did mention Connor Quick, so that, and I described the premise behind it to the younger group more in detail than the older group, and they thought that was really cool. But I gotta
imagine kids would be into that premise, because it's all about like kids and
I got to articulate it for the first time. Like I got to say, cool.
I wish I could have heard that.
Yeah, and it was neat because he's. I don't want to go into a whole thing, but that was cool, and then. The whole premise, and then I'll let this go, was the what I was there to kind of show them is we did the idea that that any idea can be a good idea. So we did the caveman time cop exercise with all 3 groups, which was really cool. Like we just said, throw out ideas, and they just threw out. They all had something to do with food. They'd be like, pineapple or whatever, like And I think the one One of the ones that won in one of the groups was Kindergarten Dracula. Like, because we just said, just throw out, just gives words.
Oh, I love Kindergarten Dracula.
Kindergarten Dracula, and then what? Oh, Watermelon Gladiator was the first one, and
I don't know.
Did you go like right before lunch?
One of them was after. Two were after lunch. I couldn't believe it. One of them was like one of them had two foods. It was like cheesecake, some other food, and it was
that
just,
a girl?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because
and then they had
only
to
girls eat cheesecake. That's why I ask.
Okay.
I'm trying to get Sean going. I love cheesecake is one of those things that like every girl I've ever gone out with like loves, and I can't stand it. And I've never seen a guy order cheesecake ever, except like one person, Sean.
Cheesecake is okay. It's got to be good cheesecake. Bad
when
cheesecake.
When we get together for the World Building Summit, we're gonna go out to dinner. We're gonna order cheesecake. Sean's gonna tell Dave about flowers, and then we're all gonna take a big bubble bath.
I think when we get together, it should be the Better Off Undead podcast. Whatever we do,
just the whole time.
Dinner out with us should be a Better Off Undead special event.
I love that idea.
So that was really, really cool, though. It was because then we said, so what is the Watermelon Gladiator? Like, is he a watermelon who's a gladiator? Is he a gladiator who fights with watermelons? We went through the whole thing that we did with Caveman Time Cop, and it was really cool. Like, they got excited, and it was cool to be like, I don't know, this is a valid career choice, kids.
No, it's really fun, and when I was talking to the children, actually every time I've talked to them, I haven't been afraid to be a little bit heretical. So I'll say something like, the problem is that you naturally have these really good ideas, but they're kind of trained out of you in school. Like, and I'm saying this in school. that
I love the off-screen bark from Dave. He's blanked out, but he's laughing.
Your teachers, they really focus on mechanics and grammar, and all that stuff is really important. But for me, it kept me from writing while I was in school. And don't let it do that to you. Is kind of my message. You've got to know that your idea. It's more important to get the ideas out on the page. The other stuff will come later, but I think that creativity is just kind of bleached from our souls. While we're in school, we're just kind of pummeled. Like, no, it has to be written this way and this structure and 5-paragraph essay, and creative kids stop caring. They're like, oh, well, if I have to do it exactly that way, I don't want to. And that's the worst thing that can happen. I think that when you get, especially like that third grade, those children, they're just so happy, and they just want to tell stories, and their questions are great, and they have no inhibitions. And I think that's wonderful. And I think that the better job we can do as a culture of kind of capturing that magic when it's that little, the better the world would be.
See, school was my creative time because I was absolutely miserable and had to deal with bullies and stuff. So I just retreated into my shell and wrote a lot. So, yay,
I want to do a Dave in school graphic novel.
A Dave in school graphic novel would be awesome.
The kids now know about you guys too. So I mentioned Dave as our grumpy guy who didn't like the unicorn idea. I gave that story. And what was funny was with the youngest group, I said, well, you already know who Dave is. Like, he's the grumpy one. And then I said, and there's me. And then I said, then there's my partner, Sean. And so my friend Gretchen goes, so, and Sean's in the middle. And I said, no. Sean's the other extreme. I said, Sean's, we had already done the bleeding rainbows. I said, I'm pretty sure Sean bleeds rainbows. He's like a Muppet. He's like, ah! And then this kid next to me did something like, he like was too hyperactive, this kid over here, and like fell down on the floor and was like doing a Sean impression apparently. And we found out later the kid's name was Sean, so it worked out perfectly.
Oh, that's fantastic.
He was little Sean in training. All right, so do you guys want to do some voicemails? But we're going to have Jason Gurley on, cover designer, author, cover designer to the stars. We're going to have him on.
Other than,
you want to do some voicemails?
Other than Aaron Malos, who did the cover for Unicorn Western and Genesis, and is going to be doing the cover for Blunderbuss, or whatever it's called, when we have our Fiction Unboxed fiction book, which is really exciting.
That's starting in 2 days.
Yeah, but other than Aaron and Dave, Jason is my favorite cover artist. I love his work. It's awesome.
Before we have him on, and we could probably hit a few of these voicemails, I did want to mention really quick that Sean and I, we didn't mention this on the show. I mentioned that I'm going to be at Author Marketing Live, our Author Marketing Club's event in Cleveland on September 8th in Cleveland, and Sean's doing it now too. We tried for Dave, but he said it was too far to drive. So, and
he also added that he hates you.
That he hates you all. And you can win a dinner with us. Like, I feel funny saying that. Like, win a dinner with me sounds like the cockiest thing in the world, but whatever. So he's got that at Author Marketing Club, authormarketinglive.com/dinner. Win a dinner with me and Sean at Applebee's, not literally.
Oh my God, it has to be at Applebee's. Please.
I tried to pitch that, but apparently it's going to be somewhere fancy.
I don't want to go somewhere fancy. I want to go to Applebee's. I've never been. I've never been to an Applebee's. I want.
You haven't?
I've never been.
I threatened.
You've never been? You bastard.
I threatened.
No, wait. I don't. Wait, I don't trash Applebee's. Mauricio
You hate Applebee's.
Mauricio hates Applebee's. I have
You hate Applebee's.
No, I have no beef with Applebee's.
He's been bitching about Applebee's the entire time. Like, let's be clear on this.
Because it's funny, not because I actually have beef with Applebee's.
Wasn't there an Applebee's tiff a while ago where they got in trouble PR-wise, and maybe that's you?
Yeah, there was some. No, there was some deal where some. I guess it was some waitress. There was some. Oh no, that's what it was. There was some reverend or some guy who was always flirting with this one waitress, and then he came in with his wife and was like a total dick to her, and then he only tipped her like 3 pennies, and then wrote something insulting about like loose women going to hell or something. I don't know. Yeah. And
one of our godly men.
So she photocopied the receipt and put it online on Facebook, and here's where shit got real, because it wasn't that she posted, like a lot of people were like, oh, that's terrible, but it was that Applebee's, like, just they wouldn't back down, and they started picking fights with people on the Applebee's Facebook page. Like, they started, like, just picking fights. Go look it up. It's the most insane thing you've ever seen.
They handle social media as well as, what was it, American Airlines.
Yes, it was like that. Yeah.
We're like running up on 2:30 here.
All right. So I guess we'll have time for one voice.
Make it a good one.
So this is.
I hope it's from Stephanie.
No, well, she's not allowed to call anymore. This one's from Jennifer.
Hey guys, it's Jennifer. I do have a question for you regarding Asana. You've talked about it a little bit and about how you love using it and how it's great not having to use email. And I was just wondering if you can explain a little bit further about exactly how you use it. And because I downloaded it, or I got an account and kind of looked up a little bit of the YouTube tutorials on it. Saw how it worked, but I was just curious exactly how you guys are using it for back and forth communication. Okay, thanks
I feel
a lot.
We answered
That's
that.
What on Fiction Unboxed, and congratulations on
your that's why. No. It was during the aborted episode 108.
Oh.
That's what it was. I'm like deja vu. Not only do I not remember that I've played these voicemails, I forgot that we played them during the aborted episode, which we're still getting YouTube comments on, by the way. Like, this is terrible. Well, yeah, it's an outtake. It's aborted, of course.
I gotta check that out. I really want to see that episode. I want to see you guys squirming in your obvious discomfort. Which
it was really uncomfortable. When we were all down in Austin at the summit, you're not allowed to leave the table because
Johnny and I together alone.
Oh wow. Okay. So I wasn't a part of that episode. So
well, it doesn't matter because we officially didn't answer the question. That's an outtake. We have to re-answer these voicemails because those aren't on there.
Well, hurry up and answer it.
Okay, well, I think a really important component to it working is to not count on Dave's activity. Don't count on Dave being a part of what you're doing because his way of making Asana work is to totally ignore it, and it works for him. It works really well. For me and Johnny, I think we're getting better at using it. I still don't think we're anywhere near the ninjas we want to be at it, but I think what its biggest benefit so far has just been kind of giving our company some basic organization to hang on, and that way we can grow. So specifically, it's project management software. So it's really as big or little as you want it to be. One thing, I didn't know it did this for about a week, and Dave just found out this week, and we've been using it for about 3 months that it does it, which is doing recurring tasks, for example. So if there's something that you think it can do, it probably does, and yet it also has a few quirky behavior things that are just really dumb, and you're like, why does it do that? And you have to deal with those. But it hasn't really succeeded in keeping us out of email as much as we would like.
That's because we're off the wagon. We just need to...
Yeah, right. But for a while, it actually totally was.
Kickstarter kicked us right in the nuts.
Yeah, Kickstarter pooped in our mouths. It was terrible because it was a matter of we didn't know what to count on from one day to the next, and because we're always in damage control or reaction mode, it's very, very difficult to do things that you know are the right things to do, like staying out of email. But what it does is it's basic project management software. So you can say, okay, we're going to do Fiction Unboxed. And then you can make all the different layers of that project beneath it. So that means we have to write, pre-launch copy. We have to get an email sequence ready. We have to build a website, and you can build all of those things and then all the subtasks beneath them. But within those subtasks, you can assign them to people. So Sean's in charge of building the website. It's basically a to-do list
thing if you don't have collaborators.
Yes, right. But the magic for us is that everything we do is collaborative. Now, I actually really, really like OmniFocus. If you're all on your own, I think OmniFocus is a great solution, and they just came out with OmniFocus 2 finally, and it's supposedly awesome. I would love to be using that, but it's not collaborative, and our company is collaborative. We all have to be working together, and Asana allows us to be transparent with one another. This is what's done, this isn't what's done, we need this, and so that really helps us work as a team. If you're not working in a team environment, Asana might not be the best solution for you.
So I'm getting late breaking texts here. You remember a few episodes ago, Dave, I had a message for you from Robert Bruce about how you give these really convincing ad reads despite your hatred of marketing, and this one says, Dave is a poser, tell him for me, from Robert Bruce. Love, Robert Bruce. And I don't know how to feel about this, Dave. If we're getting hate texts from copy bloggers, Rainmaker guy, and Chief Raconteur, we got a problem here.
Am I a poser because I don't like marketing, or that I will market if I believe in something?
It's because you're a sellout, Dave. That's what I'm hearing right here. It says, Robert Bruce, from Robert Bruce, you are a sellout, Dave. Period.
Beautiful.
I want to pee in your mouth, not in a sexual way.
What?
He may or may not have literally said that. Just letting you know.
Okay. Well, like I said from the very beginning, if didn't you have a jingle to play?
No, not in any particular fashion until you get further into your discussion right now.
Like I said at the very beginning, if we're not going to advertise anything on this site that we would not use. And 99 Designs is one of those things that early on I said I would promote them if they ever come to us. We didn't reach out to them, they came to us. And when they did, I was like, hell yeah.
You know what I sense coming right now, Dave?
What?
And now, incredibly horrible, deprecating, embarrassing, but memorable ad read, only from our hosts, Johnny and Dave, because Sean always screws it up. Take it away, boys.
Yeah, 99designs.com. That is the place.
/SPP.
/SPP.
Not that I'm prepared in any way.
No. That is the place you want to go if you can't hire Jason Gurley to do your cover design. Because he's closed for commissions. But if you can't, if you are not a good cover designer or you don't know one, don't wing it. You do not want to screw up your book cover design. Your book cover is one of the most important things regarding your book. If you want it to sell, you have to have an awesome cover. And if you don't know how to design a cover, don't try it. Don't screw it up, because there are a lot of bad covers. And the thing about self-publishing, in the past 2 years alone, I've noticed this incredible leap where covers started off like it was really easy to compete with covers. I did our cover designs. I still do most of them, but when I want something really awesome that I can't do, I go to 99 Designs. But I noticed something early on. It was real easy to do a cover that kicked the ass of all the other covers. But now there are so many awesome covers. There's so many people that have stepped up their game, and that is where professional designers come in. And if you want a professional design, you go to 99designs.com, and you can have
/SPP.
And basically, you put your idea out there, and designers will compete with each other to come up with the best cover for you. And you get to choose from all these designs, and you can even have your readers help you choose. Like, if you don't know which one, if there's so many good ones, you don't know which one you want, have your readers help out. You can put like a poll up, and your readers can weigh in on the poll and help you choose the best cover for you. And the awesome thing is, if none of the covers are good, you don't have to pay. There is nothing to lose, but I guarantee you are going to have more than one awesome cover to choose from. And like I said, they have a 100% money-back guarantee. You have nothing to lose.
So start your custom design today at 99designs.com/SPP and enjoy a free Power Pack upgrade valued at $99. A Power Pack gives you more designer time and attention, so you'll get nearly twice as many designs to help you choose from. 99designs.com/SPP. And the last text here from Robert Bruce says, Jesus Christ, Dave, you have no shame. So, apologies to Robert, he didn't actually send any of those texts. Look for me impersonating other texts in the future with or without people's permission.
Didn't Dean Koontz message us?
Yeah, Dean, not just Dean Koontz. Dean fucking Koontz. Dave put an embargo on Dean fucking Koontz because he said, well, what if we want to have Dean Koontz on?
I know, I'd love to have Dean on this show.
Surprised he brought that in. Wow. Yeah.
I love Jason's avatar, Jason Gurley joining us.
Yeah, so awesome.
Although we just have avatar and muted mic at this point.
Jason, above.
But that's how we roll.
Okay. Oh, we
Yeah.
got it. Oh,
Hey! Hey, Jason.
All right. Hey,
going on, guys?
Jason, good to meet you.
Jason Gurley's first ever video interview. Am I correct on that?
Yes, you are very, very correct.
Worldwide exclusive.
So
Okay.
Dave did the first of all, hi, thanks for being on the show. It's fantastic to have you and meet you. Dave did the job of wrangling Jason for us. So do you want to take us through the what transpired between you guys behind closed doors? Boy, that sounds wrong. but anyway,
I
go ahead.
I hope it's different than what he did with his windscreen.
Photos. Jason, if you don't know, is an awesome writer and awesome cover designer. He did Hugh Howey's Wool books and a bunch of other people's books, and he is very much in demand. So much so that he pretty much said, "I'm not taking commissions. Leave me alone, people." His work is absolutely beautiful.
It's stunning.
Yeah, it makes me cry.
Sometimes it makes me.
Here's another text from Robert Bruce that may make you cry. I won't read it.
Did they stop mentioning my name, Johnny? So-
Go ahead.
well, tell us, Jason, how you got into the book covers and how this success happened for you.
It was a complete and utter accident, I have to say. I've been a designer for 15, 16 years, and so when I finally decided to start publishing my own stuff, it seemed natural to design my own covers. And they weren't bad. I think they weren't great at first, but as I kind of quickly realized what wasn't working, and they got better really quickly. And before very long, the authors that I had gotten to know since I started self-publishing were asking for help, and I was unable to resist offering help. And God, I think a month after starting, I had done something like 150 covers in 6
Oh
weeks or
my
something like that.
God!
It was
Wow.
insane.
That
Yeah,
is
so
insane.
I don't say no very easily, clearly.
Well, I need to hop on that bandwagon and
Hey,
get
Dave, you feel any better about the list that Sean gives you right now?
Yeah, how you feeling about rape bites now, bitch?
Oh my. Sean.
In
Ever.
jokes. So, so you didn't want to be doing cover design, and now you're sort of like known in large part as a cover designer, sufficient that you're like, I don't want to do any more cover design. I mean, is that pretty much accurate? Like, you just want to start focusing away from that?
It's close. It's close. You know, I write books. That's what I like to do, and like, I don't have a lot of spare time, so I try to spend as much of it as I can writing stories that I enjoy and care about, and that readers are starting to discover and care about. And it's really hard to find time to make progress on those when you're up until 3 in the morning, night after night after night, working on book covers. Not that I don't enjoy the book covers, I really do. I have to pick my loyalty at this point, and so I have closed for commissions. There's probably a few authors and Amazon publishing that I'll probably continue doing the odd cover here and there for, but my workload will go down dramatically. So my family remembers who I am, and I can keep writing.
Yeah, I've got all the respect in the world for that. I think that's awesome. You have to do what is right for you. I mean, personally, it sucks because we never got to do. but I think you're making the totally right decision. You have to work with what creatively speaks to you and what you really want to do, because otherwise it's too easy to resent the other stuff.
Sure. Well, I will say, back in December, I got laid off from my job, and it took a little longer than I expected to find the next one, so I took a lot of cover projects. And even though I closed myself to commissions about 2 months ago, I'm still working through the 200-plus cover backlog that I
Oh my God!
I have covers
so
going through
many.
August or so.
You're making me feel lazy. Like, that's so.
I'm making my. Yeah, it is. It's come to the point where I don't know what to do with myself if I have 15 minutes free. I just don't know how to spend free time anymore. I think of 12 different things I should be working on, and I pick up one of those and do as much as I can.
Yeah.
I
I
have a question regarding covers. See, I think when you become known for something and you have like a unique style as you do, to me, even if you weren't slammed and you weren't writing, I'd want to start being selective on who has my covers. Is there ever anyone that wrote you and they got like you look at their books on Amazon and you're like, oh my God, I do not want to sell a cover to that person, and how do you let them down? like if somebody like had this like Hitler pedo bear book and they said, hey Jason, I want you to do my cover, how do you say no to that?
Oh yeah, like we don't know who that is, Dave.
Okay, I had a fanfic thing. All right.
How do you say no to that? That sounds so irresistible.
That's adventurous enough to work. And leave it to Dave to come up with Hitler pedo bear, by the way.
Right.
I think the two most reprehensible things.
That was one of the topics that came up when I was at the school. One of the two-word combinations was Hitler.
Wait. Hitler and pedo bear came up at the school? Because that's a
no, I was making a joke.
Okay.
You'll find my rhythm later.
So I think we talked all over your answer. So what was your answer? Did you have situations like that?
Never quite like that. I have turned down covers because I don't feel like I'm strong in the genre that they play in. I've dabbled a little bit in romance and a little bit in NA books, but it's not really my sweet spot. And it's not something I read, and I like to design things that I would like to read myself. So yeah, I've passed on a few here and there, but if I pass on something, it's most likely because I'm busy, and I try to send people to other designers whose work I admire myself. So,
I think
that's my statement.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Well, I was going to go in a different direction. If you were going to back off of that, then go ahead.
No, I had a different direction also, so just go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so this is how we roll. So what I was going to say is don't bother trying to hire Jason. So I think the main point of this for the audience is, like, what can you tell us about how to find and work with a designer? Like, what should you be looking for? Or if you have some sort of a design background, do you have any tips and tricks? I mean, it seems like the default thing that we've said is, unless you're 100% sure, don't even attempt to do your own cover.
Sure. Yeah, it's not an easy thing. It looks easy, and it's easy to open Photoshop and begin to play. But there's a lot of experience that goes into every choice that you make. And unless you've spent years thinking about tire weight and different things like that, you're going to spend a lot of time learning as you go. And that's okay, as long as you realize that there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in front of you before you really begin to sort of get it right. So prepare yourself for it. And I think that's advice that I try to give anybody who wants to do their own cover is make sure you really want to become good at it. If you do, then by all means go for it. It just takes a lot of time.
But for most writers, it doesn't, unless that is something that is actually a goal. Like, I want to be great at cover design. You're probably best served not doing that yourself, because you're supposed to be writing books, right? Sure. Like, even you're struggling with that, and you're great at it.
Sound familiar? Right.
It does.
Right.
It does.
So, but this is, so covers are, I think Dave made an amazing point, and I was a good boy and I didn't interrupt him because it was during the ad read. But it really is, I think, so important that a few years ago it was easier to compete with covers. A lot of them were homemade. A lot of them, you know, which it wasn't that hard when we put Yesterday's Gone season 1 out. You know, it was simple. I mean, it's still, I love it. It's almost iconic at this point because it's been 3 years and so much has come since it. But it was just a stock photo, the bars, the big font that Dave bought, was all excited about, and it was relatively simple. But the whole landscape has changed. Not only has writing gotten better, but all the other business aspects. The marketing is better, the covers are better, and all of that stuff has made it a more competitive marketplace. And if you do have a homemade looking cover now, if it does look like it's made in Microsoft Paint, you have no chance, right?
That's pretty much true. Yeah. And I would certainly advise authors to hire somebody. You know, make sure you pick the right designer for your book, for your story. And that could be a hard thing to know how to choose. You know, I'm not the right designer for a lot of different people out there, but I'm the perfect designer for others. So yeah, hire somebody. Absolutely. We've spent a lot of time doing that. So. What was that?
He was he's saying like us, I think, but being very obvious about it. Your book covers, some of them almost have like and I hope this is not insulting, like an Instagram sort of like polish to it. Do you get that at all? Were you inspired at all by sort of that look, or no?
Okay, so I suppose I can reveal one of my own trade secrets here now, since I'm not doing so many covers now.
Hold on, let me get my notepad.
You just spoiled it. I literally do run books through, not necessarily Instagram filters, but something very similar at the very end to sort of bring the entire package together. And it's a very simple, kind of brainless trick, but it turns a good design into, I think, sometimes a great one.
Do you want to tell
but
people
that's
what
the
it
key.
is?
Wait. That's the key, though. It makes a good design great. It's not a magic trick that all of a sudden makes a marginal cover look awesome. It's that the design is there, and it's what highlights the quality of the design work, right?
Yeah.
If you tell people what the filter is, you're gonna see this whole rash. Watch this whole wave of shitty covers with like some polish on it.
Just tell us after the show.
You can't polish a turd.
For me, it's like 7, maybe 8 different filters that combine in a certain way, and it's a little different every time. So replicating it might be a kind of a crapshoot.
Can you? I don't know if you want to divulge this publicly. Can you talk about the other really, really weird thing that you revealed in the email with Dave? That you do sometimes, that weird trick that you do. One weird trick, like you've ever.
I don't mind revealing that. Every single book cover that I've designed has a giraffe on it. Every last
so
one
awesome.
of them.
That is so amazing.
So I'm saying this now, and every book cover that I've done, the author's going back to it right now to look for the giraffe.
Oh, I did that. I spent a while on your site looking for
Did you
giraffes.
find any?
Yeah, no, you won't. It's a Creative Commons giraffe photo that happens to have a great balance of contrast and shadow and light. And I take it, blow it up, motion blur it, Gaussian blur it out, and then soft light it over the entire book. That probably sounds like a lot of nonsense, but it adds sort of a sense of random depth to the image, and nobody knows it's there. It's just one of those little design tricks you pick up over the years that makes something feel just a little bit more tangible.
Darren Waremouth asks, Jason did a cover for Darren, the Critical Dawn cover. Are we?
You get a weird lag thing going on there.
Okay, question for Jason. Does he draw the line with the amount of iterations he'll do for a cover? Due to the weight of covers he does, how does he deal with picky arseholes like me?
Love that guy.
Darren is by far one of the easier cover projects that I've worked on, so I think he's selling himself a little bit short there. I do have some authors who are really, really relentlessly picky. I try to kind of use my judgment to see if they're nitpicking for the sake of nitpicking, or if they're trying to achieve something we haven't quite gotten to yet. And most of the time, it's the latter. And so I don't mind taking a book 17 rounds if I know that that's going to get us the right
Oh
cover.
my god.
Okay.
But it's not a common thing. For every project that goes that far, I have 15 or 20 that are perfect in the first or second round. So.
If I made Dave do 17 rounds, we would have been divorced a long time ago.
We have some more questions and comments here. Garrett Robinson gives you props for the Iron Giant model behind you. Ditto.
I knew somebody was going to mention that.
I love Iron Giant, and it's actually like it's on HBO right now, and I want to show my son. I can't remember if it was too violent or not for a 7-year-old.
Oh no, it's fine. It's
okay.
fine.
Odie B asks. Have you guys noticed a difference in reader response between photo covers and artwork painted covers on your books? Coming from a comics background, I have many comic book artist contacts, but I'm hesitant to use any of them for traditional book covers, fearing that they might be taken as juvenile by readers.
That's a really fair point. Yeah, I've seen quite a few books that are intended for adults that have comic art style covers on them, and I think there's just a lot of preconceived ideas and baggage that comes with that kind of art. As beautiful as it is, it does kind of seem like it's targeted to a younger demographic. It's hard to get past.
This is funny because Garrett weighed in on this. As a reader, I fucking hate photographic covers, like almost all of them. You're wrong, Garrett. I think photographic covers are freaking awesome. I think it's very difficult because I did comics, and it is a very, very specific thing. And you want to get that right, and most people do not get it right, and it's not for most audiences. So
Sure.
when you're doing when you're doing a cover design, and we will talk about your books, but we want to give the idea of this
I'm still
show
not finding any giraffes.
Give the people what they want.
Yes, we want to give useful information to people that they can apply to their own stuff.
Sure.
So. When you're doing a book design, how do you come up with the right photos and the combination of photos that you will manipulate, and how much manipulation actually goes into each thing? I assume it's different with every project. Hello?
Yeah,
It's different with every project.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just yeah.
Oh, the lovely delay. I love it.
You're getting a little bit of delay there. Could you answer the question again?
I can start again. Yeah, it is different with every project. Some projects are a really simple composition. Some may look deceptively simple. The cover that I did for Eleanor for my own book.
Beautiful cover.
Thank you. It's a really straightforward cover, but it's about 83 images that make up that scene.
That's a huge Photoshop file.
Yeah, I often
Wow.
cross the 1.5 gig to 2 gig mark with my covers. I try to create something unique that can't be replicated all that easily by someone who picks up similar, stock art or source photography. And I am just by habit and kind of my design background, I'm a tinkerer, and I like to composite stuff. So I like to build a scene out of things that don't necessarily look like they could build a scene.
So,
Yeah,
Jason,
well,
I'm looking through your covers here, looking for giraffes. I have one pressing question, which is, right now, everyone listening to this is getting blue balls. Like, look at these great covers that I can't get him to do for us. So how would you find a good designer who can do some of the stuff that can make some great covers?
Yeah, that's a. I would say go looking for books that you like, books that fit in the genre that you're playing, and look for someone who's pulling off covers like that well. Flip to the copyright page, see who designed it. Same way you'd search for an editor in a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. That's a good start, and then spend some time on their site, see what they do. If they have a really robust portfolio and they've spent a lot of time not basically doing the same thing over and over, I think you'll want to talk to them, feel them out, see if they fit in your price range, and kind of go from there.
Awesome.
Okay, now
you have more design questions? Sorry, you had more.
No, I actually wanted to go into the books.
Awesome.
Yeah, 13 years for Eleanor. That's a big project.
Oh my God, I want to know about that because I had a book that I say took me 12 years, but it really didn't. I wrote it and then it took me 12 years to get back to revamping it. And so you meanwhile were writing other books during this time, so I'm curious about that process, right? I mean, you didn't take a 13-year break to work on just this one book, right?
It was about a 12-year break to work on this one book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I started Eleanor in 2001, and then at the end of 2012 I decided to take a break to see if I could remember how to actually finish a project. And I discovered that I not only could finish it, but I could write actually a whole lot quicker than I thought. And I wrote 4 novels in about 6 months before I got back to Eleanor. And she's done now, but it took a long time to figure out which were the right words out of the 500,000 or so that I wrote.
Oh my God!
Can you tell us a little bit about it? Because you told me in an email, and I thought it sounded awesome. It seemed you and I were kind of inspired by similar things. That the Talisman you said played into that, which played into our For Nevermore book.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about it. It looks friggin' awesome, though. I think Jason's paused.
The pause or the delay again.
Okay.
Damn you, Hangouts.
There we go.
So there we go.
Yeah. Okay. So Eleanor is it's really kind of a story about mothers and daughters in a weird sort of way. That's not what it started out as 12 years ago, but it very much is now. It's the story of a girl whose twin sister dies when she's 6 years old, and then about a decade later, this girl Eleanor begins to sort of slip in and out of reality in these sort of weird ways that she can't explain. And the entire novel is basically trying to determine what the reason for that is, what's happening behind it, what it means. And it's you could call it a time travel novel if you wanted to. You could call it magical realism. It's I think more literary in nature than most of my other work is. So I'm not entirely sure that most of my science fiction readers are going to follow this book, which I think is okay. So we'll see how that goes.
Awesome.
You know, we were talking about Dean R. Koontz earlier, and I'd been talking about him recently to some other writers. And one of the things I like that he does is that he included other genres. Like, he had a lot of pressure, and this is why I want to have him on the show, because he was doing his thing, he was doing horror and stuff, and he was trying to write like other genres, and the publisher kept saying no, and he'd write in another name. But now he's known, and he blends like all of these different things. He breaks the genres, and I think if you write hard sci-fi, if you write hard horror, you might get big within your own audience. But when you're able to like combine different elements and write something that's bigger and I dare say better than all of those things, then you become more of a household name, I think. And that seems kind of like what Eleanor is. It is crossing genres, combining them. And yeah, your sci-fi readers may or may not get it, but at the same time, you maybe more people will. I think. I don't know.
That's my hope. That's certainly my hope. I do think my readers right now who are into my science fiction, they're kind of unique, or I should say that my science fiction is it's not hard sci-fi. I do a lot of hand waving to focus on the human element of the story. So I've had it described
you're already there then.
Science fiction a few times. And to that be a pretty natural step into a different playground. So we'll see.
I think it's interesting, Jason. You wouldn't know this, but this is the genre discussion is one that's been visited over and over again on our site or on our podcast. And I mean, I should be focusing on our guests, but I got to ask Dave, where did that question come from? Like I thought you were the one who didn't like the idea of
I was totally gonna let that go. I was gonna say anything.
No, I like when you can combine genres, but I don't like the direction that you guys went with the comedy stuff like Space Shuttle. I think there's a distinct difference. I think you got to get known in the genre you want to write in, become successful, and then branch out into other. That's just my personal opinion. I think genre combining is great, but I think if you're starting off and you have it, because we're talking about Sean and Johnny here. Sean and I have, we're pretty established, but when they first started writing, Johnny wrote like a horror book, then they wrote like a sci-fi book, then they wrote comedy, then they wrote a western. They wrote like 15 different things at once before getting known in the one thing that I think they should have built an audience in one thing before branching out. That's just my opinion, but I stick by it, and fuck you. Don't ever call me out.
But then you get pigeonholed. No,
you don't. No, you don't.
Yes, you do. It's so much it's so much more difficult to say. This is what I'm known for.
What do you think, Jason? Let Jason.
Right.
Who do you agree with? Who's right?
You got to do it early. You set expectations.
God damn it. Okay, you're both kind of right to a certain degree. I do think that when you're huge, when you're James Patterson or when you're John Grisham and you decide, I want to write a Christmas novel, you can probably get away with that because a decent part of your audience, your demographic, is probably going to be interested in anything you write, no matter what. While the other half is like, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be writing the same legal novel again and again and again. But at the same time, I do think that if you're building your audience, if you're starting out and you're jumping everywhere, the audience has a hard time figuring out what to latch onto.
Thank you.
I think there's a decent chance that.
Wait. But the thing is, no, wait. But we agree with that. Of course, the audience has a more difficult time latching onto it. But that's always been part of our thing. Like, we know this is going to take us longer. We absolutely
know we're doing it wrong. We want to do it wrong.
No. We know we're doing it wrong if the goal is to be as explosive and fast growth.
Right, but that's not our goal.
You didn't let the guest answer the question. You didn't agree with it, you bastard. Continue.
He would have been jumping up with weapons if you'd come on our side.
No, I think the point that I was going to make is, if you write a comedy western and people like it, and then you write, a sci-fi horror novel, it's hard for them to determine if they like the fact that you're writing in the genre or if they like your writing on its own, and they can't figure out if they're interested in you for genre purposes or if they just really like you. So you are playing a longer game, it sounds like. So maybe 15 years from now, when you've written 2 novels in each of those different genres, they'll start to make up their mind and figure out that they kind of only like you for one genre.
I understand the problem here. Jason just said 15 years from now, when we've written 2 novels in each of those genres. He doesn't know how fast we go.
I know you're fast. I'm assuming you're writing in like 17,000 different genres.
That's it.
Now I have this is something we talked to Austin Kleon about. If you're familiar with Austin, he's known for talking about other art, like show your work and talking about showing the work. But there's also art that he does. And my question to you is, does it? You're doing 2 different things. does it bother you that the covers do so well that it takes away some of the attention of your writing? Do you like if someone introduces you as cover artist but maybe not necessarily writer, you're like, no, I'm writer first, cover artist second?
No, not that much. I do. God, it's really hard for myself to kind of divide my attention between the two because I love both sides of it so much. And want very, very quickly and just be a natural actor. And I don't mind being the stealth author right now, being a little bit under the radar. That'll hopefully change, but I don't mind if it takes a while.
Okay. We did have Thomas Bennett asked, as someone who wants to learn covers, are there any courses, tutorials, or books you'd recommend?
Well, I guess it depends on your starting level of talent. If you do have a design background already, then what you're really interested in is more the philosophy of cover design and the business of cover design and what matters most and how to build the right cover. But if you're getting started with design and it's a totally new thing, you've never opened Photoshop or Illustrator before, what you might want to look at is something like lynda.com, where you can just begin to learn the tools and take some sort of some basic theory classes about art.
Okay, just checking to see what other questions we have here. Now, I noticed on your website, which is jasongurley.com, that's Gurley.com, you have a book of short stories coming out. Deep Breath, Hold Tight.
I do. It's out already, actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed with us, short stories, hard sell. People like them, but it's very difficult to sell them. Are you finding the same thing, or are you having a lot of success with it early?
I had a nice little chunk of early success with each of the individual stories. I write them mostly to kind of keep myself fresh in between projects, or when I have a very small window of time, I'll write a short story instead of trying to make some serious ground up on a novel. Collecting them has been fun, and I think it's probably my best looking book yet. That's one thing I try to do with every book is make it as indistinguishable from a traditionally published book as I possibly can. And short of Eleanor, it's the best example I've got of that. But I do take the stories and I publish them in print. I like to have them on hand for giveaways. They're nice little things to give out to people. They're a simple way to introduce somebody to my work. Some of them make people cry, which is always a nice goal of mine. And then they're a great way to sort of expand my audience through, dabbling in anthologies and that sort of thing. So it's nice to have that kind of ammunition in your back pocket if someone steps up and says, "Hey, do you have this?" And you say, "Oh yeah, take this. Go out and do what you want with it." That's always helpful.
What is your writing schedule like now? How much time are you actually able to devote to it each day? And do you write every day, or do you go in spurts? How does that work?
I definitely write in spurts. I used to control my writing experience a lot more than I do now. I needed the perfect quiet and the perfect light and that sort of thing. But I have 4 pets and I have a 2.5-year-old and I work a day job that I'm very happy with. And so if I can find 10 minutes anywhere, no matter how loud it is, no matter if somebody's mowing the lawn next door, I'll crank out 1,000 words if I can. So I write when I can, as fast as I can, and I worry about perfecting it later.
Are you being literal with that? With 10 minutes, 1,000 words? I mean, I'm assuming that's a slight exaggeration. I'm just curious, because you said you got faster, and
Johnny's jealous. Check it out.
Well, no, I'm curious because this is what I did. Like I
need to write 20,000 a day.
No. I did the exact same thing. Like it took me forever to write a book, and then I figured out how to write fast. So I'm curious as to what that transition was like for you.
Yeah, I did discover how to write fast. I think, if nothing else, that's what Eleanor taught me. It gave me a huge foundation in, I don't want to call it craft, but I figured out how to write. And so with the next things that I picked up, 4 novels in 6 months, especially writing sporadically. Give me a half hour and I'll do 3,000 or 4,000 words if I can. I am fast. I'm usually fast at just about everything I do.
Wait.
I don't even see how fingers can move that fast.
It doesn't mean
But
I don't think I could type random letters that fast.
I don't think if I was looking at my left monitor and typing something like transcribing, I could hit that speed. That's just amazing.
Yeah, I do type fast. I don't want to equate speed with quality. Sometimes it's just a matter of you get the idea out as quickly as you can because you just have a few moments to do it, and then you come back and you spend a lot of time editing and shaping.
Oh no, of course. I'm just amazed that that's
the backside of that takes a lot more time. Yeah. Now, when
I always spend way more time on second edit than rough draft.
Yeah.
Do you go through the book once before editing and then come back and work on it in edits?
Sometimes. I should say I kind of flew by the seat of my pants with everything before Eleanor. Eleanor's the first time I've actually laid down money and hired somebody to help me make it into the best book that it can be, because I think it is sort of the definitive book, the definitive example of who I am and what I write. So that's taking a lot longer. So I've given myself a lot of lead time to finish editing before, while the book is available on pre-order and that sort of thing, so that I can finish it and do it right. But other books, it was not unusual for me to finish it and then my impatience rear its ugly head and it's submitted and I've clicked the publish button 45 minutes later. It's just ridiculous. So I've done a lot of cleanup in retrospect, going back to those books.
Now, in your books, you have a Great Fall, which is a silo story in Hugh Howey's Wool World. How did that come about? Was that something where you were like a big fan and you wanted to write in those worlds, or something where you had already like worked on his covers and you thought, okay, this is a great way to get known as a writer? I'll write in his world. How did that go?
Yeah, I had never heard of Wool. Last year, February or so of last year, and somebody told me about Hugh, and then a day later I found out that he was actually coming to Portland to do a reading at Powell's Books. So I went and I listened to him, and he gave a reading from the book, and it was quite good. He read the opening scene reluctantly. I don't think he really wanted to read anything. But
he wanted to dance.
He did want to dance. It was an interesting experience. My author friend hired a local unicycle bagpipe player who comes to events like this dressed up like Darth Vader, and so he played the Imperial March for Hugh and rode in a circle in this narrow little space around Powell's. Anyway, so Hugh invited the entire audience out to dinner afterward, and most people didn't go, but about 20 people did, and the topic of fan fiction came up, and I had never once in my life thought about writing fan fiction. Well, I take that back. I wrote fan fiction when I was 6 years old. I wrote a Hardy Boys story. That was it. I had never tried it in the meantime. But Hugh not only encouraged it, but he was encouraging people to actually sell it and try to earn some money off of it. I kind of cockily thought, if you're going to open up your world, like, I'm going to go play in it. I'm going to tell a story that's a lot different than yours, but I'm going to see if I can outwrite you in your own world. I don't think I pulled that off, but the story, I think, has turned out, quite interesting to a lot of people.
Awesome.
So we should probably finish up on this.
You have a comment.
Yes.
Ryan Attard said, I agree with Johnny and Sean on the whole horizontal growth thing, and as usual, it's nice to see Dave have a stroke on screen.
As usual. Counting. 16 strokes and counting.
And bonus points for calling it horizontal growth, by the way. Awesome.
Anyway. Horizontal growth. So Jason is, Eleanor releases on June 27th. You can pre-order it now on Amazon. Can you pre-order it other places as well, or just Amazon?
Just Amazon right now. Yeah.
Just Amazon. So, and Jason's website is jasongurley.com, Gurley.com. I just had one last thing on my agenda, which I won't drag you into, although Dave always enjoys it when I do, and that is I just wanted to mention our sponsor, Caption Access, which handles our transcriptions. I would normally ask you something about if you've ever been saved by a captioning company, blah, blah, blah. But they do they do transcription and live captioning, and captionaccess.com. Tell them you heard about them on our show, and they'll give you 30% off. So there you go. So anything else you want to let people know about, or did we pretty much cover it?
Sign up for my newsletter. I'm going to tell everyone to do that. And there's Eleanor comes out in a month, give or take, but everyone who signs up for the newsletter in the very, very short near future will get the book for free before it comes out. And everyone will have a chance to review the book early if they want to. So sign up. You can sign up at my website. And
is it just the homepage? Do you have a special URL? Or?
Yeah, there's a giant red banner that says sign up. So click that or click newsletter and sign up.
Well done on that, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get every book that I write and publish for free if you sign up. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's my experiment, and it seems to be doing fairly well. So I like to take care of my readers to actually take a chance on somebody like me, and so that's how I do it.
I just signed up.
It's a strategy that I like, and what's also fun is that now you'll start getting a few people who are like, I'm going to wait for this one to go on free again. We got a few of those. That's always fun.
Sure.
Thanks for all the free shit. Not going to pay for anything, though.
Yeah. Well, that happes. But
they weren't going to buy anyway, so
right, exactly.
There's also people who sign up and then buy 16 paperback copies to give to their friends. So it balances out. It's out. Yeah.
Excellent. So thanks so much for being on. I think I said Jason's site is jasongurley.com. I think that's basically all for our last stuff. Was there anything else I was supposed to mention that I forgot? Anyone?
Not that I can think of. Better Off Undead is up next.
Oh, God, don't mention that again. So thanks for being on, Jason. And
don't click off yet. Just wait.
Don't click off yet. We'll see everybody next time on Self-Publishing Podcast. Thanks for joining.